Welcome to the Advance Your Art podcast, where we talk about the journey from artist to entrepreneur and everything in between. You've worked hard to hone your craft. Now take it to the next level with tips, techniques, strategies, and routines used by successful artists to grow their businesses and careers. Now, let's get started and have some fun with your host, Yuri Cataldo.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Advance Your Art with Yuri Cataldo. If you're interested in learning how to build a company, make money from your art, or transition to a new career, you've come to the right place. If you like this episode, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Today I'm chatting with Jabril Mack, award-winning animator and writer. Jabril, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Just keeping busy, staying indoors, all of the fun things that summer of 2020 has to offer.
Right.
How are things in your neck of the woods?
So I'm typically in LA, but I'm actually in Atlanta riding out the pandemic with my family right now. So, I'm enjoying being in the South for an extended time.
Mm-hmm.
Things are good.
Yeah.
Family staying safe, staying healthy, so can't complain.
Good. I was supposed to be in Atlanta in May for a long extended business trip because of the innovation space that was there. But of course, all that got canceled. So it's there's a lot of really, really cool things in Atlanta. Are you able to get out and do anything, or is the situation in Atlanta kind of stay home, keep to yourself kind of a thing?
Well, I've been laying pretty low. Not too much exciting stuff on my end. But the thing I like most about Atlanta is the food, man. So I'm making sure I'm hitting up all my favorite spots while I'm here. And because I am here, going pretty frequently. So might be getting a little bit of weight, but it's all good, man. It's a pandemic. You gotta do you.
That's right. Exactly. When push comes to shove, you're like, it's a pandemic. It's fine. We're all
right.
We're all in that same boat, so it's fine.
Totally my excuse right now for anything.
Yeah, I love it. So for my audience who is less familiar with you and what your work is, how do you describe yourself and what you do?
So first and foremost, I think I'm a storyteller, right? I'm a storyteller who specialized in animation. I do animation artist, I guess you could say, because I'm involved with a lot of different parts of the animation process, whether, like you mentioned, writing, storyboarding, or actually animating and bringing the characters to life. I kind of have my foot in all the departments for animation. So I do a lot, wear a lot of different hats, but as you know, startup style, it's kind of what you have to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. Very cool. So let's start from the beginning of this. What initially made you want to go to USC and study animation?
It's a good question because I did not want to go to USC.
Where did you want to go?
I wanted to go to Cal Arts, which is like Walt Disney's animation school in California as well. And as a senior in high school, I got that rejection letter, and I was like, dang, okay, USC, hopefully they come through. So luckily they did, and it worked out perfectly because USC has the best film school in the world, right? George Lucas went there. Steven Spielberg didn't go. He likes to act like he went. It's that good, Robert Zemeckis, all these big names went. So the opportunity to go there and learn in the same environment was super awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, one of the things about Cal Arts was it's an art-based school. So it's not that university feel. You don't get to have the tailgates and the football games and the different people with different mindsets and different majors. It was mostly all artists. So one of the best things about USC was being able to be on the same dorm floor with someone who's a business major, someone who is an engineering major, someone who's a math major, and just share and talk and learn from each other. So that diverse element was probably one of the big selling points, besides the fact that I was rejected from the other one.
Sure, I get that. All right, cool. So what did you do then after you graduated?
So let me take a step back. I've always been drawing and animating and creating stuff. So my family moved around a lot growing up. And right before middle school, the worst years of her life, we ended up moving to Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, which made middle school even even more of a transition from going from California to Missouri. There's not much to do, right? People would go to Target or Costco on the weekends and hang out, and that was like a big deal, right? So I got into drawing, and my dad got me this animation software called Toon Boom Animation. And from there, I was just making cartoons in my parents' basement. And just having friends come over, recording some voices on this microphone I had for my PS2, and really silly stuff, putting them online, early YouTube stuff, and not really caring about it. But then in high school, I was making these cartoons still. We had moved again, and I submitted them to this Nickelodeon animation festival. And put them in the mail, forget about it. A couple months later, get a phone call that I actually won this festival, right? So I'm like, yo, Nickelodeon. I grew up watching this kind of stuff. They acknowledged my work. And at that point, my parents are kind of like, okay, you can actually make money and be an artist and, make a career out of it. We got to go to Nickelodeon Studios and, Home with SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, Invader Zim, Avatar, all these big hitters. And seeing how they make the stuff is how I ended up going to USC. I convinced my parents that it was a worthwhile career choice. And then right after USC, I was interning at Cartoon Network on a show.
Okay.
And it was great. All the staff there, season 1 of this new show called Clarence, was super young, all like 25, 26, all friends. And I was like, wait, I kind of want to do some stuff with my friends. So actions my made an animation studio and just jumped into it. This was I graduated in 2015, so like 2015, 16 was around the time when streaming services were just coming out. So every brand wanted like something to pitch, right? Everyone wants content. We got to pitch some stuff.
Right.
So we would be the people who would develop that stuff for them. So if, let's say, Oreo wanted the Oreo series, they don't have any animators on deck. So have me and my buddies create this Oreo series for you. And just kind of go from there. And we were doing that for a couple of years and just learning a lot about storytelling and characters and making TV shows. And then,
I'm sorry. I'm going to pause you for 1 second because that's absolutely fascinating that you've kind of found a niche and jumped into that. I'm curious on the business side of that before we get into your next project. So did you ended up starting a company around this idea, or was it you and your friends were just doing some freelance work?
It's kind of a mix of both. It was weird because I was taking an entrepreneurship class on a whim at USC.
Okay.
Our professors were, serial entrepreneurs and angel investors who were very adamant about doing your own thing. And as an artist, you don't really think about, I'm here to draw some cartoons, make people laugh, call it a day, right?
Right.
But they really opened my eyes into not only like creating stuff that's not in a vacuum and being in charge of what you create, right? So, our first clients was like Stan Lee's production company, right? So working with Stan Lee, one of the greatest, was out of the gate, was like, whoa, that's crazy. So is it a company? Is it not? We don't know because we're working in our dorms, right?
Yeah.
So doing that and having the opportunity to create stuff for these top big names was able to keep some money in our pocket, especially out of that, right out of college transition. But eventually it kind of became just too tiring and boring because you're working on stuff for other people. You know what I mean? And it's like, we don't know, we're kind of end up working in a vacuum because pitching a show and stuff, a lot of times they don't go anywhere. And then you can't show anybody anything. So it's like, I work on this, I work on cool Google project, but can't show you, work on this really cool Stan Lee new superhero, but can't show you. All right. So at a certain point, I was starting to think, you know what, I want to get my own ideas out there in a really significant and exciting way. And luckily, I was able to do that with this new project called The Weaklings.
Great. So tell me more about The Weaklings then. Where did the idea from it come from? And so you kind of just can mention a little bit, but what was that actual moment like when you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, but there's an opportunity to do something of my own that will also be a business?
I really don't. I think it's just a bunch of small things happening and just getting burnt out and tired. I remember being on vacation and telling my family, I'm about to do this. I'm about to make this show and just see what happens. And they're like, okay, all righty. But the Weaklings is an animated series starring the days of the week, right? So the characters are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And they all have personalities based off how each day feels. So Friday, coolest guy ever. Saturday is really fun and exciting and peppy. And of course, Monday, no one really likes her, right? So it was inspired by actually college, going back to college, where being on a dorm floor with so many people with different personalities, it was cool to see how we were all so different, but we're able to come together and form these really cool, these really strong bonds, these strong friendships. So my animator brain was like, okay, what else? Different personalities, days feel different, translated through animator brain, you get the Weaklings. Yeah. And so that was interesting because I decided to do that 100% independently. So we started through Kickstarter, raised $20K, and then used that to make the first pilot episode, which was a huge learning experience.
Yeah, I bet. So what is that, before we get into more details about it, what is the animation process like for this show?
Okay, I'll break it down for you quickly. Yeah. So I come from a traditional animation background. Like, do you know what's your favorite animated show?
Off the top of my head, The Simpsons.
Perfect answer. Yeah. I love The Simpsons too. But so for a Simpsons episode, it takes 9 months to make, right? From writing it to getting the script together, recording the voices. We always do that first. Yeah. And then you do the storyboards. The storyboards are like a comic book version of the final episode. It's kind of like the main drawn out so you can see if it's funny, see if the jokes are working. And the animators use the storyboard drawings to determine what the character is going to be acting and animating out, what the background is going to look like, what the scene is going to look like, all that kind of good stuff, right? And then once the storyboard's locked in there, all the characters are moving, you go to sound, you put the sound effects in there, you edit it together, and hopefully you have a done cartoon. So for the big productions, that could take up to a year, 9 months, a year. For us, ours took from January, February, March, April, May, June, like 5 months. So we sped it up a little bit, smaller team, but we're able to still bring out the characters and use the same steps they use to make it happen. Because you have to do, we raised 20 grand. We couldn't do much with, a Simpsons budget is like $3 million per episode. We ain't got that. Yeah. So we got to work with what we got. But it's a fun process. Animation does take a long time. It's 24 drawings per second typically to make a cartoon. That's 24 drawings of one thing. So if you imagine a scene with 7 characters, that's 24 drawings per 7 characters per second, which is I'm not good at math, but it adds up. It really, really does. So you have to be passionate about what you do. And in that storyboarding process, make sure the story's working, make sure the characters are working, and make sure the jokes are working so that by the time you get to, month 4 or 5, you're not like, oh crap, this is not good.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah. So I'm curious about that then. How are you, so your episodes right now, how many episodes do you put out a month? And how long does it take you now to do an episode?
We do, on a good schedule, we try to do an episode a month, but we haven't put out a new full episode all this year yet. Just we're trying to save some up and put them out and actually be smart about it, instead of being like, hey fans, we got one coming, and then like, okay, wait 2 more weeks because it's taking too long. So we have, I believe we have 5 episodes out now, and then we're also posting constant daily content on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. So we're making a lot of stuff all the time and just getting it out there. It's kind of hard to plan it all, but once the system is moving, you can get the content out there, interact with the fans, and stay in their face, because the show's a daily show, right? It's about days of the week. We got to be there every single day. And finding creative ways to make stories and bring these characters out is always, it's one of the challenges, but also one of the fun parts about the process we chose to do.
Yeah. So why did you choose to put them out on YouTube specifically?
The whole thing was independent, right? I was like, I don't want to deal with any studio stuff. I just want to make, it also came from a more creative place and a business place where I just want to I don't want to deal with pitching and executives and this and that and changing the idea and blah, 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 blah. Ain't nobody got time for all that, right?
Yeah.
So YouTube is I come from that generation where I think it's a blessing to